Meghan Markle's new podcast was today slammed as an inane stream of mindless aphorisms and stomach-turning, as it debuted to a slew of negative reviews. The Telegraph, Standard, and Guardian all gave Confessions of a Female Founder 2 stars, while there were also withering write-ups in the Times, Express, and iPaper. One key criticism was that listeners might have hoped to hear much wisdom from Meghan's guest, Bumble founder Whitney Wolfe Herd, but we get none of it, because the former actress steers conversations towards her own experiences. The Duchess of Sussex revealed in the podcast that she had a huge medical scare after giving birth, having announced the arrival of the new Lemonada media show by posting a series of throwback photos on Instagram of her selling cookies as a child. Both women discussed how they had suffered from postpartum preeclampsia, a condition related to high blood pressure and excess protein in urine in the days or weeks after giving birth, which Wolfe Herd described as life or death, truly. But Telegraph TV critic Chris Bennion described the show in a scathing review as having an inane stream of mindless aphorisms with no confessions or secrets. He said there are plenty of self-care aphorisms, journeys of self-love and validation, discussions of bottling your essence, and great handfuls of mutual adoration. Mr. Bennion added, "The frustrating thing is that Wolfe Herd, who is just 35, presumably does have wisdom to impart, having been part of the team that created Tinder before she created Bumble. Imagine the drive, the talent, the decisions, and sheer bloody ruthlessness it must take to achieve what she has. We get none of it. In this perfumed echo chamber, the best we get is a sense that Wolfe Herd didn't love school, and that she wishes she hadn't worked so hard." In The Guardian, pop culture writer Rachel Arosty said the sycophantic interview podcast is stomach-turning. She said that whenever her guest opened up about her life, Meghan very rarely reciprocates, adding, "You can understand why she's guarded, but the problem is that personal disclosure fuels parasocial relationships, which are podcasting's primary draw." MTK's Arosty also wrote, "It's hardly a manual of specific, constructive business advice. It's simply an effusive chinwag between two like-minded pals that may as well have taken place behind a deluxe set of closed doors." Another 2-star review came from The Standard, in which India Block said Wolfe Herd gentle parents Meghan, and that the Duchess had been frozen in time since shutting her lifestyle blog The Tig in 2017, before announcing her engagement to Prince Harry. But MTK's Block also said the Duchess is a generous and competent interviewer, playing up her anxieties and being the right amount of complimentary and deferential to keep her guest relaxed and talking. In The Express, royal reporter Hanisha Sethai said she wanted Wolfe Herd to share more learning curves about her journey rather than lunches with Meghan and bottles of rosé. She wrote, "Meghan takes control of the narrative early on in the episode. She bluntly directs the podcast by informing her friend of how she wants the conversation to be relaxed and easy, which is normally a chat you would have with a guest behind the scenes instead of on air for broadcast." MTK Sethai also said Meghan often steers conversations towards her own experiences, regardless of the original topic, adding, "While this may stem from a desire to connect or relate, it can also overshadow others' contributions." In The Times, reviewer Charlie Gowan-Zeglinton said Meghan could have asked Wolfe Herd how she made $1 billion, but she had other things on her mind. She wrote that she had been ready to jot down the wisdom that will doubtless awaken the entrepreneur within and make me my first $1 million. But she added, "I have been listening for 8 minutes and 48 seconds before Whitney. I will call her Whitney, since we are doing Girl Talk, speaks about business, for I timed it 17 seconds before Meghan chimes in again." A further review in the iPaper by chief culture writer Sarah Carson described the podcast as 45 minutes of platitudes. She said the Duchess's comment about packaging keeping her up at night was likely intended as relatable and approachable, and a reflection of how easy and detrimental it is to become absorbed with small details at the cost of losing sight of the bigger picture. But MTK's Carson said this instead sets the tone for a podcast as light as those styrofoam peanuts that only really concerns itself with surface aesthetics, the packaging, and offers little of substance. The podcast was released just hours after Prince Harry landed in the UK, and King Charles Roman III jetted off to Italy with Queen Camilla for a 4-day state visit. The Duke of Sussex then arrived at the High Court this morning for an appeal against a ruling on whether he is entitled to armed bodyguards paid for by the taxpayer. In the podcast interview recorded in February, Meghan said to Wolfe Herd, We both had very similar experiences, though we didn't know each other at the time with postpartum, and we both had preeclampsia. Postpartum preeclampsia. Meghan did not reveal whether she suffered the condition after the birth of her son Prince Archie, 5, or her daughter Princess Lilibet, 3. Wolf Herd has 2 sons. The Duchess added, "It's so rare and so scary, and you're still trying to juggle all of these things, and the world doesn't know what's happening quietly. And in the quiet, you're still trying to show up for people, mostly for your children, but those things are huge medical scares." Wolf Herd added, "I mean life or death, truly." Wolf Herd spoke about Meghan and Harry introducing their newborn son Archie to the world in a photo call at St. George's Hall in Windsor Castle in May 2019, 2 days after his birth. She told the Duchess, "I mean, I'll never forget the image of you after you delivered Archie, and the whole world was waiting for his debut. I was either just becoming or about to become a new mom, and I was like, oh my God, how is this woman doing this? How is this woman putting on heels and going and debuting a child in this, beautiful outfit in front of the entire world?" Wolf Herd added, "I could barely face a doorbell delivery for takeout food in a robe," to which Meghan laughed. Meghan also called Wolf Herd a wildly successful female entrepreneur and the kind of friend who just always seems to know the exact right thing to say when I need perspective. Wolf Herd spoke about Meghan's brutalizing time in the public eye, telling her, "I do think there is so much to be said for your ability to exist, even in the presence of that. It takes a very strong cookie. When I was going through the media storm and being called this and that at Tinder, I didn't leave my house for like a month and a half." Meghan told Wolf Herd about being absolutely consumed with packaging, adding, "boxes. It's all I could think about. I would sit there doing the unboxing in my head. Is there tissue paper? What about the packing peanuts, but they're biodegradable? Where does the sticker go, and what size the box is going to be?" She also made reference to a porch pirate, a term for someone who steals packages left on porches or doorsteps after delivery. Meghan said, "Someone says, but you don't want to brand the outside of the box because of porch pirates. Had never heard that before. What's a porch pirate?" Wolf Herd also said that the one thing you can never get back is time. She told the Duchess, "The amount of time, Meg, that I wasted on being stressed, being miserable, being overwhelmed, being paranoid about what shoe was going to drop. I actually think I would have been more successful had I not been like that." However, Meghan replied, "But can you turn it off? I say this because last night, I was when your brain goes in a loop. Those 3 a.m. loops, and you can't stop overthinking the thing." Wolf Herd explained how she has followed the rule of 5s. She said, "Will this matter in 5 minutes? 5 hours? 5 days? Yes or no? If it's not going to matter in 5 years, throw it out the window." And Wolf Herd told her, "I think you have to really take a deep breath and say, you know what, how big of a deal is this? If this is not going to be a defining issue in your business, your life, your family in 5 years, you'll be fine." She also said, "When you're ruminating in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, but the box came out the wrong texture, well, is that a problem in 5 months? Not really, because you can switch that box.